Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. So, welcome back to West High Academy, aka West High Healthy Living Space. So today I'm going to be going through the third model. I'm going to be talking about the third model of struggle-free healthy living and a spiritual approach, taking a spiritual approach to health and well-being. So I hope that the first two models made sense to you. I thought it was good to take a break in between and just recap and catch up and make sure we're all still on the same page. We're still on the same page with each other. So let's just do a quick recap. So in the first model, which is you'll be pleased to know was the longest of all models, I had six principles which I shared with you in terms of which should form the foundation for you to live healthy. The first one, we talked about the importance of applying the word. The word cannot be, the power of the word can't be underestimated. The power, its usefulness across all areas in our lives, and health is no different. Then we spoke about, and I spoke about the importance of meditating. Then we spoke about spiritual exercises, the importance of doing them on a regular basis, and the importance of not neglecting physical exercises. I felt it was important to talk about both because I think a lot of times people do more of one than the other. So I think you have people like, pastors, prophets, etc., that unfortunately also fall sick, also have health challenges. And most of the time they're very good at their spiritual exercises because that's their job. So they're very good, but a lot of times they struggle with the physical side of things and some of the other things we spoke about. Similarly, you have people that are very into health, very enthusiastic about health, and they're very good at doing their physical exercises, but not so good at the spiritual exercises. So I wanted to speak about both to get a good balance and to make sure that you have an understanding of that both are equally as important as each other. Then we spoke about eating cleanly, and I felt it was important because a lot of time people say, "Oh, eat healthy, eat healthy." You hear it all the time, but it's like, what does that actually mean? And what are the implications of eating healthy? And a lot of times we link it just to physical diseases. We don't think about it from a holistic point of view that actually, if we're not eating clean, we're not eating the right food at the right time and the right amounts. Gluttony is in the Bible, it's a sin. But the reality is that nowadays, I think, especially in the Western world where we have a lot of food, I know people that have 3 feet freezers, only three of them in the house, for example, or four, but they have, and if we're being honest, a lot of us eat more than we need a lot of times, and we don't look at it as any big deal, but it's actually gluttony. And so having the right portions of the right food is also important. That doesn't mean we can't treat ourselves once in a while, but we shouldn't be doing that every day. So we spoke about that, and that actually, if we're not eating right, it's like self-destruct. It's a form of self-destruction. Some people have addictions to alcohol, others, food is like a comfort, and that can also be a problem. So we spoke about it from a holistic standpoint. Hopefully, you were able to take one or two things away from that. Then we spoke about so that's four principles. Then we spoke about the importance of using medical interventions effectively. And I felt it was important because I know that some people have certain beliefs about certain medicines, certain interventions, etc. And I spoke about it, even though I said this course is for everyone. I used the Bible as a reference. And even God did surgery, if we're being honest. Adam, Eve, that's transplant surgery. So if God could use that and talk about it in that fashion, then surgery cannot be wrong. And there are times where surgery is necessary. Then also about medications, how God actually created medicine. God is ahead of us. We can't be ahead of him. So even medicines, because a lot of medicines originate from plants and herbs. So we spoke about, the importance of various medical intervention, various professionals, the importance of a multitude of counselors and, employing different people at different times and respecting different crafts. So we spoke about all that, and we got to the final part where I spoke to you about the importance of having a plan. No one plans to fail, but a lot of people fail to plan. And I spoke about it having the importance of having a holistic plan because a lot of the time we go to one person, they fix this part or they tell us this bit, and we go here, we go there, but we rarely try and tie it all together. So I spoke about the importance of having a plan and how the fact that, at our healthy living space, Westside Living Space can also help you in that department should you need a bit of assistance in putting it together. You don't have to, you can do it on your own, but sometimes it's wise to seek counsel because we all have different graces. So we spoke about that. And then that led us nicely into talking about afflictions and different types of afflictions. And we spoke about spiritual afflictions, which often gets overlooked and not spoken about, and how and physical afflictions and how they both manifest. We touched on things like, divine afflictions, afflictions from the devil, from God, and from a genetic point of view, that oftentimes we think about genes as a physical thing, but it's also a spiritual point of view. And sometimes, unfortunately, some of us suffer the sins of our parents. And that when we say suffer from some of the things they've done, some of it may be due to lack of knowledge, some of it may be, for different reasons, and some of it may just be that although we don't get the same diseases because we have, or the same health challenges because we have access to a little bit more modern medicines, etc., some of us still suffer the consequences of some of the things that maybe if they've been afflicted spiritually or physically, inevitably sometimes those have an impact on other areas of your life in terms of money, for example, and directly or indirectly, some of us suffer from those things that our parents or our foreparents may have done. Some of them, it may just be that they've cultivated bad habits. And, then they say, oh, this disease runs in the family. But actually, it's not that it's in their genes. It's just that over time, there are certain family traditions and certain way of life of certain people living. So we spoke a lot about all those things. I gave you tips, a number of tips of how you can overcome, of how you can deal with spiritual afflictions. And, apart from the fundamentals, I gave you 8 additional tips. Similarly, we spoke about physical afflictions, and for me, it was important to talk about the less obvious stuff and the things that influence those people getting those afflictions and some of the causes that often aren't spoken about, even when you go to see a healthcare profession, a doctor, a nurse, a pharmacist, or whoever. So I tried to speak about that because I felt like over the years, those are the things that I feel are the problems. Sometimes we know a lot, we're in an age of information overload, but there's some things that are very, very poignant that we don't necessarily talk a lot about. So I talk a lot about that. And again, I gave you tips of how you can overcome physical afflictions and how you can prevent both, because prevention is better than cure. So the third model, the final two model are a little bit lighter. I think they're heavy topics, but I think that it's important that I made them a bit light so that it's easier for you to follow and hopefully grasp what you need to from those topics. So we take a brief break now, and when I come back, we're going to talk. We're going to go straight into the third model and speak about holistic healing, which I think is the perfect time now. So I'll see you in a few moments.